Hola, mi gente. You guys missed it because he did it off camera, but Mr. O just opened a bottle of champagne just to set the tone of what you're about to see today, okay? Although this will be a debate because I have a little beef going with Mr. O. What are we sipping on, Mr. O?
Clico, this is rich. This is one of the versatile champagnes that you add a little something to. If you could
Nice. The Vouv happens to be my favorite. I feel a ways. I don't have, I ain't drinking too. I got my water.
Yeah, I love Clico.
All
One of
right,
my
guys,
favorites.
welcome to On the Block with Jen. If you saw the thumbnail, yes, it is time we let go of Miss Marilyn Monroe, and I'm gonna get into why. And why is Mr. O here as my guest? Because I've seen him on a couple panels, and I noticed that he had Marilyn Monroe on his wall. And every time I see Marilyn Monroe on any wall, I cringe, and I am going to get into why. But when I questioned Mr. O on one of the panels, he was like, nah, she cool. What's up? I like Marilyn. So, Mr. O, welcome to On the Block with Jen. Let's start. Let's just jump out. Why do you like Marilyn
I
Monroe?
want to know why you don't like her. I don't understand. What don't you like about Marilyn?
Wait a minute. Isn't the proof of burden on you? She's on your wall.
Well, what does Marilyn mean to the world, to the culture? Does everybody know who Marilyn Monroe is?
For the most part. And if you don't know who Marilyn Monroe is by now, you've been
Let
on
me just,
your
Norma Jean. So, Marilyn Monroe, let me just read a little something. Born Norma Jean. Uh, she had two different last names. They go by Morrison or Baker. Right. She went through a whole lot in her childhood too. So, like, it was a lot of trauma there. So that could speak to how she turned out the way she did. But she accomplished a lot. We have the same birthday, June 1st.
okay.
Right. And she lived to the 60s. So she was an American actress, model, and singer, famous for playing comedic blonde bombshell characters.
Yes.
She became one of the most popular sex symbols of the 1950s and early 60s and is emblematic in the era's sexual revolution. She was top billed actress for only a decade, only 10 years. Her films grossed $200 million in the 60s. That's like 2 billion in today's dollars.
Mm-hmm.
By the time of her death in 62, long after her death, that's she grossed that by the time of her death. Long after her death, she continued to be a major icon in pop culture. In 1999, the American Film Institute ranked Marilyn sixth on its list of greatest female screen legends from the golden age of Hollywood. And those are all facts.
Nice. Hey, I'm with the facts, and thank you for coming with the research because I love the receipts. Welcome everybody into the room. Hey, Patrice, I miss you. Where you been? Jabari, how are you? You guys know you are free to jump on the panel after I speak my little piece of what my beef is with Marilyn, right? Because
So like
Jabari, what's your beef for her, Jen?
for her to like you can literally say today, there were a lot of women that are influential in our culture and getting things done that would not exist without her. Kim Kardashian, I love. There's no Kim Kardashian without Marilyn Monroe. And they both had ties to the White House that were impactful through history. Kim Kardashian and Trump released more black people out of prison than Obama. I'm sorry, but she did that. She turned that negative image of what the world saw her and turned it to $1 billion and did a lot of things to help a lot of people. And I love what Marilyn was doing. But she was tied to some gangsters. She was tied to two Kennedys, and she's tied to some prestigious people throughout Hollywood as well. So um, that has to say something when you're talking about the hierarchy or the rank of what the image of a woman should be. Like no different. I have no respect different than I do for Sade. I love her.
Nice. Okay, you got Sade on your wall. That's one of my
I
favorites.
I wonder if the pressure to not like Marilyn is that thing that most women in today's world don't like, the competition, because she does represent competition for your men.
Mhm.
I'm sad to say, like a lot of the men that I know, they love her and they would take a Marilyn in a second if she's willing to give them the deal that they want out of life.
Right.
I heard the panel the other day was talking about if Kanye was a smart business decision to marry Kim, and marriage being a business decision anyway, an institution, of course, their network increased. For those type of people to come together, those kids are set for life. The
Right.
kids they have, their kids are set for life. And you mean to take this genius mind and this fashion icon and musical genius and pair him with a woman that has accomplished what Kim has accomplished with those genetics and the management from their family and how everybody's millionaires, even a couple billionaires in there. That was a great business decision,
I agree.
right? And
Okay.
when you sneaking somebody into the White House, man, she got to be somebody special. She got to.
Okay. There's an echo. Is that mine? It sounds so weird.
Let me see.
I think the echo's on my end. Because when I speak, I hear it.
Oh no, it ain't me.
That sucks. Hold on.
Check your mic.
Oh, wait, let me. It's probably something I'm doing over here.
I think it's funny how you didn't see Sade, who's right there, but you definitely
Well,
saw Marilyn.
in my defense, your chair covers her all the time, unless you're doing that.
Yeah,
Definitely would have noticed Sade. She's one of my favorite people.
I love her. She saved my life. Her music saved my life.
Okay, so let's get into I don't know why I have echo. It's annoying the hell out of me, but hold on a second. This
Like
is
you
not
said something the other day when you wanted to talk about this, all right,
uh-huh.
and you described her as something. I don't remember what you said.
Okay, so let's get into since we heard why you like her, what have you. Let's get into my side. So people are waiting, like, what's going on? Am I echoing still, Jabari? Ugh. How do I don't even know how to fix this. How do I fix this? I can't believe I'm echoing. This is some BS.
Are you using a mic?
No, I'm on a laptop. I don't have a separate mic. This sucks because I'm not gonna be able to speak like this.
It's fixed now, I think.
It's fixed? Yay!
Sounds like it.
Okay, so let's get into it. Um, here's the thing. There's still an echo, but is it annoying to the point where you guys are annoyed, or it's
I
good?
don't hear it.
Okay, great. Okay, so here's the thing. I think the first thing that we have to. No, I don't have another screen on, King. I closed all the other windows. I'm sorry, guys. I am sorry.
Yeah, I don't hear it.
Let me close this. I closed absolutely everything. Okay, guys. So I don't know. I still kind of hear it, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, I don't hear it. Sounds good.
Okay. So I think Jabari, you asked a great question because you're like, what's your beef with Marilyn Monroe? I think that we have to be allowed, right, to suggest something or someone shouldn't be worshipped without thinking that the person saying it has a beef, quote unquote, right? So I don't want you to think I'm anti Marilyn Monroe, but I am anti worship of Marilyn Monroe. And that is what's happened with her. So it's beyond, oh, well, she's a beautiful woman. She was a Hollywood starlet. She was in the White House. And we all know what she was doing in the White House. Let's not pretend we don't know what she was doing in the White House. She wasn't changing bills or laws. She was in a married man's bed, the president, to be specific. Okay, so that's what she was doing in the White House. Let's put that on the table. Now, her personal life and who she had sex with is neither here nor there. I couldn't care less, right? But we have to be transparent about what she was doing there. Now, other people may say she was an activist. Her and Ella Fitzgerald were friends, and she refused to be at a club unless Ella Fitzgerald was singing there. Yeah, a lot of white people enjoy black musicians and singers and what have you, things like that. Does that make her an activist? In my eyes, not so much when you had Ruby D existing in the same era, right? Ruby D and Ozzy. So I'm not anti Marilyn, but I am very much so anti the worship of Marilyn, right? And it is your worship. She is on t-shirts. There are statues of her that are standing everywhere. People have her on their wall. If you go on YouTube, every makeup artist you see has Marilyn on their wall. The issue I have with that is that everybody does it, even though us as people of color, as black and brown, as Latinos, as Asians, whatever would have you, whatever you identify as, because there's a million identities now, they all target Maryland. They all go to Maryland when we have some of the most beautiful women on the planet that were not only activists, boots on the ground, not just because they had a friend who was a singer, right? But were boots on the ground up against the worst of the worst in this country, doing the same thing that Marilyn was doing at the same time that Marilyn was doing it. Okay. Marilyn Monroe is the quintessential beauty standard in America, blonde, blue eyed, and white. Point blank, period. She is the ultimate beauty standard. And that is why she's on posters today and on walls and on t-shirts. And Rita Moreno isn't, although Rita Moreno was an activist, boots on the ground, right? Although Ruby D was an activist, boots on the ground, right? But how many Ruby D t-shirts do you see, and how many posters of Rita Moreno do you see on a wall? So that's my issue. Not that Marilyn Monroe wasn't a beautiful woman, not that she wasn't sexy, but let me show you really quickly some examples of what I'm talking about. Since Mr. O came with the receipts, I was like, I knew he was going to be thorough. I know who I'm dealing with. And I love it, by the way.
I'm gonna let you finish.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So here's when we talk about like beauty during the Marilyn Monroe era, we look at Raquel Welch. How famous is this poster, right? This is Raquel Welch. This is pure natural beauty, right? And then
Yes.
we talk about, well, it's because Marilyn is competition or she's sexy. What's sexier than this? Okay, Raquel Welch, she's Bolivian. And then we have Dorothy Dandridge, right? People may say, oh, well, but Marilyn Monroe was pretty. I mean, Dorothy Dandridge. Can
You
I get a
stole mine. I was gonna bring her up. You stole mine.
right?
Yeah.
We have pure beauty, natural beauty, right? Dorothy Dandridge. We have Rita Moreno, sexy, 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 right? We have Dorothy again. We have Rita again. All that's sultry. That's
Some
sexy.
more. I can give you some more. Diane Carroll, Lena
Diane
Horne.
Carroll, you know what I
I
mean?
know they out there. I got it, but
But we won't see a statue of Rita, Ruby D, Dorothy Dandridge, and what have you. This is a statue of Marilyn Monroe, which caused some controversy. Everything that happens out causes controversy, but they didn't want this statue up because they said it was sexist and misogynistic and what have you. That's a whole different show. But so my thing is the
and they
worst
did that on purpose for that movie. Like they filmed that in New York, that scene specifically to attract that.
right.
That was done on purpose. I mean, it comes off as she's being promiscuous or like or gaudy or whatever, but no, it was done on purpose to attract that.
And I
Well, I
don't mind,
want
and I know sex sells, so I don't mind women being sexy. I like being sexy. I like sexy women. My issue is that the reason why Marilyn Monroe is being put on a pedestal is because she's white, not because she was an activist, not because, oh, Ella Fitzgerald was her friend, not because she hung out with the black person every now and then. It is because she's white, because we have other women that were starlets in Hollywood during that era that do not get the praise, that do not get the posters, that do not get the t-shirts. And I'm afraid of the perpetuation of this beauty icon where we're concerned. And it's personal for me because my daughter, who's a very beautiful woman, had the Marilyn on the wall. And I asked her why, right? Most people go by looks, right? Well, everybody puts her on the wall, generation after generation after generation. So generations before me had Marilyn on the wall. My mom's era had Marilyn on the wall. My generation, though I've never done it, had Marilyn on the wall. And then passed down to my daughter because of media had Marilyn on the wall. Where's Rita? Where's Dorothy? Where's Raquel? Where's Diane?
Sade's, I got Sade bigger. I got a bigger picture of Sade. I
It's
don't
not
hold.
about size. Listen to what I'm saying.
I got you, but like I just want to say this: like those women are very beautiful that you named, but none of them like gave you something that you never seen before. And
What
people
about
came to the movies in droves just to see the term that was created that never existed before, blonde bombshell. That's why she is, like they said, emblematic. And
Mhm.
what appalls me, this is what I really don't understand the most, is that like in today's world we have the most liberated group of women on the face of the earth. Today's time, they're so liberated, and she's the definition of freeing y'all. Like she gave y'all the liberation, the feminist movement, all that was inspired. She's the definition of ripping your bra off and making your own decisions and not letting the world control you. And if you move to the beat of your own drum like you do, how can you not appreciate what she did to pave that road for you?
Okay, again, she's not, in my opinion,
She's not
she's
an activist, but
right.
she's symptomatic in different areas throughout history that were turning points.
But let's go back to what you said. Let's explore that. She was the quintessential first blonde bombshell. Again, blonde is related to white woman. It is not related to black women. It is not related to brown women. It is not related to Asian women. Okay. Blonde is synonymous with white woman. Blonde bombshell is synonymous with white woman. So that's my issue. I think she gets a lot more credit than she deserves. I think she can still be a beautiful woman. I think she can still be iconic, but to be worshiped to me is absolutely ridiculous. And we keep doing it. Why do we keep doing it when we have so many beautiful starlets that were freeing us? I mean, Dorothy Dandridge was dangerous in her role in Carmen. Sexy, dangerous, uninhibited. She was like, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So are you telling me that
Lena Horne used to kill it too, man. Like with this
the horn?
voice and the act, man. I know, but
But we are not, but
she
we keep
wasn't.
saying Lena Horne, Diane Carroll, Dorothy Dangerous, Rita Moreno, but she is not, they're not on t-shirts. They're not being worshipped. They're not having 50-foot statues placed anywhere. That is my
Because they're
issue.
not pop culture icons. Like Marilyn Monroe is like pop culture, just like Michael Jackson or Virgil, who just died. Like these are pop culture icons that you can pinpoint something that they did that impacted the world in a different way that still live today.
Who's pop culture?
Jesus, pop culture icon.
Who's in charge of pop culture?
The masses, the people select what their influences are.
Are you
We
sure?
select what we're influenced by. Like they presented, but we got people had to go buy the movie tickets and show up for her to do that, and they did it for 10 years because they wanted to see her on the screen because it was nothing like that.
Okay, so if I'm in charge of, or I run, right, what's presented. Let's say you're on planet Jen, right? And
Okay.
all I present to you is this pen is the answer. It's the way, it's the catalyst, is what you must, it's what I think is important on my planet. And you're
Yeah.
on my planet, right? And this pen is what's important to me,
Yeah.
right? If you're on my planet and I control what's important to me and it's my planet, guess what you're going to do? You're going to think it's important too. So I don't think that we should just throw it away like, oh, the people decide. The people are continuously presented images. And you know that. We can admit that. The
Do
people are
you
constantly presented images and the masses follow. I don't
so
think it's more so choose, but follow. I think there's a difference between choose and follow,
is it
right?
because she's white though? Do you not like black men and white women?
What you mean, interracial relationships?
Yeah.
I mean, it's none of my business. It's not my bed.
Why her being blonde is a problem for worship?
It's not. No, that's not what I said.
She's blonde and she's white. It's associated with white, and we shouldn't worship that.
don't minimize. What I
Oh,
said was that she is being worshipped because the country is white owned. They control the media. The reason why they made her iconic was because the media was shoving her down everyone's throat. They coined her the blonde bombshell. Okay. They coined her that. We didn't coin her, right? We had beautiful women in our midst that were available to us even back then. But the media, as it stands, wasn't calling Dorothy Dandridge or Rita Moreno or whatever brunette bombshell. Matter of fact, there's no such phrase,
no.
right? But blonde is synonymous again with white women. So what I'm talking about is beauty standards. The beauty standard in this country has always been blonde and blue eyed. And that is why the perpetuation of Marilyn Monroe exists and persists. That's my point. Not that I have a problem with white women or blondes, because now we're minimizing.
No,
Right?
I'm saying like it blows my mind. Like this is their country. It's they shit.
Yes,
Right.
I
They won
agree.
the war. Like they won the war and they took over this place and they did it however they did it. But it's theirs now. So they do set the standard. That's what
Absolutely.
people need to get. That's what people don't ever like take heed to. Like we lost. You can't come to somebody. Spartans, they won the war, they set the toll. They set the laws. They set the standard. They said how things was gonna go. And you come over there, you gotta when in Rome, you got to do what the Romans do. And so that's just kind of how it is here. For me, it ain't so much Maryland is what she represents throughout history in certain points of culture that I'm a part of. You know, I like pop culture. I'm in that era. Sexual revolution. I love that. And that's Marilyn Monroe. It sells. It's the definition of what successful businessmen in this country, that's their choice. That's what they look for. And I think that represents more than just good looks. It represents an opportunity, wealth. Like, because like Kim K, she's beautiful and all these things, but she didn't just rely on that. She used that to do a lot more. And I think just her imprint in history is worthy enough of celebrating. I don't know about worship, but celebrating, yes, for sure.
So I think that at least we're now getting somewhere, because you touched on exactly the subject I'm on, right? This is planet America,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Right.
not that I'm anti Marilyn, I'm anti the worship, and it is worship, right? Because she's on more t-shirts, trains, tattoos than Jesus Christ. I think her
Right.
and Jesus Christ are her and Jesus Christ are like here.
I just said that somebody had a problem with it, but that's why we need to stay away from that. But that it's true. I see the correlation. It's the same to me. It's a figure. It's an image. It's emblematic, and it controls the masses of people and how they think. Like those are the same thing. I ain't saying we have a church in Maryland, but in a sense, you're saying that people do because of how they've carried her throughout history.
And when you think about it, pop culture, there is a religious undertone to it, because like religion, what we deem to be the standard is passed down generationally. Like
Yeah,
I mentioned earlier, my grandmother, my mother, me, then my daughter, it's passed on generationally. And what else is passed on generationally? Religion. So it is kind of the same. But when you go through life, pop culture, and it's like this woman is on t-shirts and people are tattooing her. Kids that are 15, 16 years old are getting Marilyn Monroe tattoos,
yeah,
right? That to
yeah.
me is a form of worship. You walk in barbershops. I walk in a Dominican hair salon, okay, and they have Marilyn Monroe on the wall. That makes me
Powerful,
cringe.
man. It's powerful, man. For I don't know any other symbol of woman that can transcend all races and cultures and be accepted equally. Like that's you got to give her that. If it's in your face, if everybody is choosing up on something, we got to have some truth to it. It's got to
I
be
don't
something
know
there.
that.
I don't think we're blindly choosing her because they told us to. I think we generally look at that and see that's beautiful, but no different than I look at her.
But you know what's funny? I think that's exactly what people do, is choose her blindly. Because if you ask the average 16-year-old who has Marilyn Monroe tatted on his arm, why do you have Marilyn Monroe tatted on your arm? He's not going to know a damn thing about her work history, who she slept with in the White House,
They don't
who her
know.
friend was. He's not going to know. So it is passed down blindly, just like religion, right? If you ask the average 25-year-old, well, what did Jesus, blah, blah, blah. I don't even go to church. But my mama told me this is what happened, this is what I'm gonna do. So there is a blind worship and there is a blind following. We can't deny that it is very blind, right? If rappers are talking about, Marilyn Monroe, then people listen, oh, Marilyn Monroe must be somebody. Do you know who she is? No, but I'm gonna go get this tattoo because my uncle who's 35 has one and he's really cool. So that's my point, that it's time we stop the worship of Marilyn Monroe.
No.
But I get that you have that birthday connection. So in your mind, you made that's also a factor where you're kind of like, well, wow, we have the same birthday. What a coincidence. And it is kind of cool. But what I'm saying is that I'm not anti-Marilyn. I'm anti the worship, because not only is it a perpetuation of a beauty standard that's anti-black and anti-brown, okay? It's toxic for us, for little girls growing up. What's the beauty standard here? Oh, the blonde girl with the guy, the lady that's singing happy birthday to the president. That's the standard of beauty.
But it's what you do with your gift, though, because like beauty is a gift. No different than a man that's a well spoken, or LeBron that could dribble a basketball better than anybody else. Or it's a gift. These are gifts. Everybody's not equally beautiful to any standard. I don't care if it's a different standard in another country. You're still not going to be more beautiful than Jen. I don't care where you go. Jen's in a different league. And that's just a standard that exists. It's going to always exist. We can't really fight that. I think that's something to be admired. What you do with your talent matters. You can't just be beautiful and sit here and sit at home and do nothing and expect to be admired for that. I would have a problem if she never did anything, but she did some amazing things. And you can't discredit her getting, like, they got a whole tunnel that still exists in the White House. Why? We could say and judge how we want to. She came between her marriage, and she had two brothers arguing over her. And these were two of the most powerful men in the world at the time. It got to be more to that story. And she was compensated for it too. And
well, that's it. Let me
don't see no problem with that.
Let me push back a little bit. Conquering men, I mean, men aren't hard nuts to crack when you're attractive. I just want to put that out there. So it's really no feat
But
that
the
a woman
most powerful man in the world.
Yes.
That is a feat.
No, it's not a feat. You know why?
That's amazing. Like,
let me tell you why it's not a feat. That's why so many politicians that sit in positions of power get caught up with the interns. Just because they're in the power,
about getting caught up with her. They do not even care. I'm sure it's other presidents that have done some dirt, but they wouldn't dare bring it in the White House. Yeah, Trump, all of them. It's a lot of them. It's a lot of them. We can name them.
Most presidents were getting down in that Oval Office. So that, in my opinion, I'm speaking as a woman who I think is attractive. Men aren't hard nuts to crack, whether they're in powerful positions or not. They're actually very easy because they're very ego driven, and they want a beautiful woman, pining over them and wanting them. So it's actually easy.
If a woman can get that close to the most powerful man in the world with that type of relationship, she can definitely influence decision. She can definitely,
absolutely.
That's power. That's power she possesses.
I say that all the time, that beauty is a commodity. I say that all the time. It's influential because, if I'm saying something to you, you may stop to listen. If Whoopi Goldberg is saying, all respect to Whoopi Goldberg, but if Whoopi's saying something to you, you may change the channel. Right. So I'm agreeing with you. It is a commodity. It is powerful. So when you say a powerful man, a beautiful woman is powerful in that room as well. Yeah. If she walks in, right? She's powerful because now all the men are like, hold up, wait a minute. Right. So I agree with you there. Again, my thing is the worship of an icon that is being worshipped not only because, she's part of the sexual revolution, but because she's white. That's what's on top of the pyramid. That she's a blonde bombshell.
In a white country, of course, there's going to be a white symbol.
Yes. So that's my point.
That makes sense, though. We're in their country, so it wouldn't be a black, it wouldn't be a Latina, it wouldn't be anything but a white woman to be the standard.
Right.
It's they shit.
Right. So, sweet lady 095 said Whoopi is unattractive in mainstream society. Yes, she's unattractive.
For sure.
As much as I respect Whoopi, as much as I admired her hustle, let's be intellectually honest. In mainstream America, which is the subject I'm on, Whoopi is an unattractive woman. Yes, she is.
Ladies, men do not like dreads.
I don't know about I don't know about that.
We don't want dreads on our women. We don't. We don't.
All right, guys.
For the
So
majority, not everybody, but the masses, that's not attractive. She's
okay,
even try to be attractive.
okay. Since I said I could, do you? Okay, let me ask you this, Mr. O. Also, audience, I'm so grateful that you're here. I see a lot of people in the room. If you would like to join us on the panel, feel free. I got a few minutes for you. If you'd like to object to anything I'm saying or anything that Mr. O is saying or add to it because you have more information than either of us, feel free to jump on here. I'll drop the link.
I,
Mr. O,
th-
let me ask you something. Oh, go ahead. And
I
I'll ask
think
you.
I'm up right now, though. We're keeping score. I think I'm up.
You think you're up?
Yeah, I made more points. Yeah, I think
You
so.
made more points? That's what we doing?
I think for sure I'm winning this debate.
You think so?
It's a friendly debate. It's not serious.
It's never
Yeah,
serious.
everybody know me and Jen get along. I love Jen. She cool.
I love Mr. O. That's why he's
My
here.
type of person.
He has a great personality on panels. So I like to invite people over I find interesting.
But it's
Okay.
a shocker to me that people don't like Marilyn. I was surprised when you said that.
I don't think it's, you see, but again, we can't just say that it's that people don't like her. We can't say that because then then it's like, oh, it's just women don't like beautiful women, which is hogwash. Like you could not like somebody whether they're attractive or unattractive. So I don't want to paint that picture like, oh, you don't like Marilyn. I have
That's
nothing
a
against.
thin line between like being envious of another woman and don't like the competition versus like just what you're saying. Like you got to be clear because it could come off as like she just don't like competition from white women. She want to shut that down, and
Okay,
I
well,
don't think
I'll
that.
say this. I don't think that, let's be clear, I don't think white women are my competition in any way, shape, or form. Because I literally can go in a room full of Asians, full of white people, full of black people, full of Puerto Ricans, and I'm gonna have eyes on me. So I'm not speaking from a place where it's like, oh, she's white, so she's gonna get the man in the room if I'm in the room. That's BS, right? So definitely not that. But I think that we should be able to have conversations without it being, oh, you just don't like that person, because it happens to me too, right?
Do
Some
women have do women not like to be competitive for the men that they want? Do you have a problem with competition?
I don't know because I don't compete with other women for men. Men,
See, that's proving you have a problem with competition. That's what women say. I don't compete with nobody.
but listen to the second half of what I said. I don't compete because men chase me. If I'm chasing a man and another woman is chasing a man, guess what? Now we're competing if we want that same man. But
Okay.
unfortunately, I had to look where men are chasing me. So the men are competing for me. I'm not competing for a man. So that has nothing to do with another woman.
That's just perspective that you're saying. But like if there's one man and there's two girls, you don't have to give her any energy, but he's looking at both of y'all.
Well, that's his business. But
Right. So you're in competition with her and
yeah,
you
but
gotta not mess it up.
I know, but I'm not competing with her. I'm not, let's say your scenario, one man who's attractive, two beautiful women. I'm not like, oh my God, let me be funnier than her. Let me be cuter than her. He's after me. Either he's after me or he's
Mhm.
after her.
He's
And
after
that's
both of y'all. He's just the one that's gonna give him the opportunity first to get the deal that he wants is the one he gonna choose. So you may not say nothing bad about her, but he's looking at who's ever gonna give me the deal I want first. That's what you're confident in your natural ability to secure the deal. So you're not pressed by no woman because you know that you're gonna move the right way. But it is a competition because when he's not talking to you, he's trying to see what she got to offer too. And at the end of it, he's gonna make a choice. So it's
I,
still a competition.
I agree with that. But let's just say it's a conversation
It's not competitive though.
I don't have to involve myself in. I'll
It's
say that.
competition, but it's not competitive because you already know that you're gonna win. It's like,
Not yeah, I don't worry about that too much.
okay.
I just like, men holler and like them or not. All right, guys. So we have OG Patrice on the panel, who I miss and adore. I haven't seen you in a while. Jabari, who always has good points of view. Okay, Mr. O, before I let these wonderful people
Yeah.
chime in, am I swaying you in any way? Do you at least understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I can definitely empathize with where you come from, with your perspective on it. It not being, it shouldn't be our standard of beauty.
Okay, fair. I'll take that. I'll take
Okay.
that. OG Patrice, I'm gonna let you go first, ladies first, and then Jabari, you can chime in after that, sir. Welcome. I
How
can
you doing, Mr. O?
It's happening.
Yeah, I just wanted to just kind of piggyback off of what Jen was saying. I think that even though we live in a society, yes, where black and brown people don't control nothing due to the fact of systemic racism and what has happened to our people. To for us to continue to perpetuate or be a part of the perpetuation of white privilege and white is superior. I think when we give in to um, give in to things of that nature, where we worship, uh, our white counterparts, that's where the problem can become problematic. Because, like you're right, Jen. Why isn't beautiful women like Dorothy Dandridge, Diane Carroll, Lena Horne,
Come
Sophia
on.
Loren, Rita Moreno, Eartha Kitt? I mean, I can go on and on of beautiful black and brown people that I don't even see black men wearing on their shirts because it's a lack thereof, right? And I used to live in Vegas, and you're there now. She's worship. She's an icon and worship like all get out in Vegas. She's on everything, everywhere, and I think it there is a misconception of what the standard is in this country. And I think even and then don't get me wrong, because I've dated interracially, but I would never, ever, ever put another race of a man before a black man. I wouldn't do it. It's just no way. When you're talking to the standard of beauty, in my eyes, it's definitely first and foremost going to be a black and brown man. I've dated a Caucasian man. I've dated a man from Cuba. I've dated a guy from India. I've dated, I'm Miss International up in here, but I would never put a black man up on that pedestal of worship. I mean, any other race above a black man on that pedestal of when you're talking about the fact of worship. I share birthdays with Barack Obama, and he's black and white, and I don't worship him. Like, I think it's the sense of the whole thing of the mindset of how we help perpetuate people like that by putting them on pedestals, especially celebrities and people of the such. So, yeah, I just kind of wanted to just share that view. And by the way, the Confederates did win the war. So even though and the Confederates won the war with the help of black soldiers that they put up front and center to help fight that war. And when they got home, they were treated like crap. They were denied all of the amenities that the white counterparts were, and they helped won that war. And the white people still got their statues, still uh, 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 control the masses up until right until today. That would, like, the fact that we don't own anything is because of what they did to get it. And that's the thing that we keep seeming to not be in remembrance of, that the way that they did it and the things that they seemed to get it and how they got it off of the backs of people that look like us. So that should never, so white superiority, that's what keep white supremacy alive. That's what keep white privilege alive. If we keep having that mindset of thinking that they are superior, like she is not the standard of superiority for white, for whiteness, or her statue and what she's accomplished. I'm taking nothing from that, but it has nothing to do with her being worshipped as a god or idolized. That's where the problem therein comes in.
I respect that. I think that, like, I'm looking at her as a symbol of liberation, not as something that I worship as the beauty standard. I actually admire Sade way more beauty wise. Like, I love this woman. If she was 80 years old, I'd marry her. Like I don't care. I love Sade. I just think that she's a symbol. She's more than like Marilyn. She's a symbol. When you say her name, it's it's impactful, and it's just iconic in the culture that we are involved in. Like it's a part of it now. Like we can't take it away.
Why do we
But I,
partake in it though? Why do we partake in this part of the cult? Because we all have choices, like you said before. Why do you think we continuously partake in a woman that we can't even relate to looking like or being like? Why do you think we constantly partake in this generation after generation after generation?
she was the first independent woman. Like this is why I don't understand why women don't appreciate
But
her
that's not
because
true. That's
I was
not
just about
true.
to say,
You
can I
forgot all about
chime in? I
Josephine
really need
Baker.
to chime in.
well, no,
Josephine
like
Baker.
there was a lot of people that did a lot of things, but who got the recognition and the credit for it and impacted the world the way they did? She did.
The world, Jabari, jump in.
Pop culture is infected by Marilyn Monroe and what she did, and she got people to come outside to come see her movies, and she is the emblem of sexual revolution, which personally in my life I don't fit in these like norms of like how we should mate or interact with one another. I'm very free about that, and I like the image of it. I don't per se that every woman needs to look like her. I just like the image of what she's represented throughout our history.
Jabari, you want to jump in?
Yeah, there's so much to unpack from what has been said, but I will be succinct as normal. I actually made some notes, so I'm going to run through them quickly. First of all, Josephine Baker is considered the first American sex symbol, not Marilyn Monroe. And I got to push back against you, Jen,
Thank
because
you.
that banana dance, that image of her is still all over the place. So it's hard to make the point that Marilyn's worshipped and she's not, or Dorothy Dandridge worshipped and she's not. It's these people are cultural icons. They're all cultural icons, and they all have different positions. Also, I needed to make the point that being an icon is not the same thing as being worshipped. When you're a cultural icon, you're going to show up all over the place. You're going to have posters. You're going to have people who are fans of yours. The fans may be fanatical, like the Beehive, the Beyonce Beehive. They're fanatical, but well, that might be a bad example because I think there may be people who do worship her, but there's not anybody praying to you. And when you're talking about worship, I think I think that takes it to another level. She's an icon. Beyonce is an icon, but Josephine Baker was the original icon in this country. And that kind of, I have to push back against a lot of the race stuff because Josephine Baker was an icon when blacks couldn't sing in Carnegie Hall. She was still America's first sex symbol. So when we keep making the reference to this being America being a white country, America was a white-er country in the 1920s and 30s. And Josephine Baker was still the symbol of American beauty. So much so that when she went to France, she was still beloved. The Nazis knew who she was. That's the reason why she wasn't executed, because she was a spy. And she received the Gaulle Award from France afterwards. So it's the racial argument kind of gets diminished, and it kind of lends to Mr. O's point about Marilyn Monroe being an icon because she was an icon independently, not just because she was white or just because she was blonde. Now, I would have to push back against her contributions outside of being attractive and kind of known as being, a bit of a slut. And don't get me wrong. You've done videos about this. I don't have no problem with sluts. But that's what she was known for. She wasn't known for being a huge social icon. She was a pop icon. Another thing is the standard of beauty has shifted, and it constantly shifts. Jen, you're considered beautiful. You're considered beautiful across the board. I can say that. And, we talk about the wall. You seem to be running through the wall. I'm still trying to figure out what virgin blood you're drinking. And when we find a little bones all through your house, we're going to know what it was. But the standard of beauty constantly shifts. It constantly shifts. There was a time when Christy Brinkley was the standard of beauty. There was a time when Raquel Welch was the standard of beauty. What makes Marilyn Monroe different is she's been consistent through time, just like Josephine Baker, who was before Marilyn Monroe, and we still see her posters. Another thing I have to push back. I love you, Miss Patrice. I love you to death. But Confederates lost the war but won the peace. They won the peace that follows. That's why you see Confederate statues all over the place. They won the peace because they got into education and they were able to indoctrinate the children, indoctrinate how you teach history. By teaching history, you're able to revise history. And that's what they were able to do. Also, you mentioned the blacks were blacks and how we were deprived. Blacks were given, we were at our most free when people left us alone. And that's blacks and Latinos in this country. If you look at the period where we made the most advancement, any 10-year period is Reconstruction. In the period following Reconstruction, you had black businesses, black towns, black banks, black stores. And those businesses, many of those businesses still thrive to today. Atlanta Life was a black-owned, black-established insurance company, national insurance company. Carver State Bank in Savannah goes back into the 1800s, 1880s. These are the institutions that were started during Reconstruction. And I'm from Savannah, Georgia. We had a free black community that preceded the Civil War and lasted through the Civil War. By the way, that's where 40 Acres and a Mule came from, Field Order 15 that was here. So my point is to say all of that, because I had a list of stuff I had to reply to. My point to that was, it's more than just race that determines an icon, a cultural icon. So I have to push back against that. The other one it was Josephine Baker, not Marilyn Monroe, who's the most lasting sex symbol in this country. And even though Marilyn has more of the cultural icon, I don't see why we should be upset with her iconic status, because it doesn't hurt us per se, because we choose which aspects of the culture we can embrace or push back against. I would be more concerned why nobody says anything about Shay and black people walking around rocking the Shay shirt and having the Shay posters. If you want to talk about embracing somebody who was not only ambivalent towards you, but kind of pushed back against you.
Who's Shay?
I'm sorry. What's his name? Che Guevara. I always mispronounce his name. The so-called revolutionary. But I will defer. I can post books. Tulsa. Somebody posted in the chat about Tulsa, Oklahoma. There were literally dozens of cities like Tulsa across the country, and I'll leave it at that.
Over 100.
I want to respond. First of all, I love your push. Now I'm going to push back, as you know. I want to say hello, Vaughn. Hello, One Community. Thank you guys for joining us. Two things I want to push back on, and then I'll throw it to whoever wants to speak after that. One Community, I got your email. I will respond. Two things. I know you said there's a difference between pop culture icon and worship. I don't think that people don't worship Marilyn Monroe. They worship her. It's a worship. Okay, I don't think it's just, oh, she's a pop cultural icon. I think race does have still a huge, I don't think she's just a pop culture icon and that's it. I think race has a lot to do with it in this country. You said she's been consistent. Let's be clear. Marilyn Monroe has been dead for decades. So she hasn't been anything. The perpetuation has been consistent. She hasn't been consistent. She's good in that. The perpetuation has been consistent. The posters on the walls have been consistent. T-shirts have been consistent. You brought up Josephine Baker. She was as sex symbol as they come. The banana skirt, infamous, right? But whose wall do you see it on? Whose T-shirt do you see it on? And when you do see it, you see it very rarely. I can walk into a souvenir shop in Times Square and it's Marilyn Monroe all in there. That is a worship. Speaking of Beyonce, there is the Church of Beyonce. Have you seen it? Google it if you think people congregate for Beyonce in a church atmosphere, play her music, and go on stage and preach about Beyonce. So it's very, very practical for some people to worship these people. Now, let's not. She's a blonde icon. Again, blonde and white is synonymous with superiority in this country. So I don't understand how we can take the race component out of it. We cannot, because Josephine Baker, in my opinion, sexier, more uninhibited, sexually fluid, went all over the world, right? Like Mr. O said earlier, well, Marilyn Monroe went all over the world. Josephine Baker actually did, right? It's stamped on her passport. But she's still not held to that regard like Marilyn is, because she is not white in this country. Now, going back to what Mr. O said, is because we are in their country. So it's understandable, right? It's understandable that the white people are going to be superior and viewed as supreme, no matter how average they look, right? So I have to push back when you say it doesn't hurt us. It hurts us if we're little black and brown girls and little black and brown boys, and we're growing up in a world where these superior icons that are worshipped are placed as more important than we are. It very much hurts us. In the NFL, the majority of the players are black, right? But the majority of the quarterbacks are white, right? And it's advertised that way. So it absolutely does hurt us. I think so I have to push back on that. It absolutely does hurt us. And that's why representation is so important now. And now we see the black woman selling Maybelline. And now we see the black athlete on the Wheaties box. So it's very, very important. Representation is very important. So to say it doesn't hurt us, I have to disagree.
May I respond?
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree.
But the fact is, you can still get the Jules. I'm sorry. Let me get the mute. The fact is, you can still get the Dorothy Dandridge picture. That picture that we see, that you can still get it. You can still get the Josephine Baker picture. What we choose to allow our kids see. When I grew up, I don't have anything against white people. We didn't have white people on our walls because that's not how we were raised. I wanted to play football. I liked Ronnie Lott. You know, I enjoyed music. I like Josephine Baker. When my grandfather talked about the golden age of Hollywood, he talked about Dorothy Dandridge. So I saw all of Dorothy Dandridge's movies before I was 15 years old. So it's what you allow. It goes back, you know, I'm big on accountability. It goes back to what you allow your kids, your grandkids, your friends. It's about what you allow to be icons in your house, in your family, because we do have access to cultural icons that go back before Marilyn Monroe. That people choose to put Marilyn Monroe doesn't bother me so much as it is people don't know who Dorothy Dandridge is, or people don't know who Josephine Baker is. But that's not on society. That's not on the country. If you, I put it like this: if you ask a Jewish person who are the Jewish icons from this country, they can tell you. If you ask an Italian, who are the Italian icons, they can tell you. The same thing with the Greeks, they can tell you. Why are we the only people, the only groups of people who require society to tell us who our icons will be? That's more of the issue. You can't put that
easy.
on.
That's an easy answer. It's conditioning. It's easy. Conditioning. We've been conditioned as a people. No, I know it. But that's
it's not a reason. It's just an excuse.
I mean, before, you know, when I was a little girl, you know, my mom had a picture of white Jesus because it was perpetuated that Jesus was white until I learned for myself.
Look, if I had Diane Carroll on my wall, would anybody have a problem with that? And she married a white man. Would anybody have
so did Dorothy Dandridge.
We champion
so
Diane,
but she also
because Diane Carroll is still
Diane Carroll was also married to Sidney Poitier. Diane Carroll was also married to Sidney Poitier. Okay.
Okay.
So
she did marry the singer. Did she marry the white Italian singer?
Yes.
First, right?
Vic Damone.
She had a baby with him, Vic Damone, right?
Yeah.
Jabari, let me say this. First of all, I 100% agree with you. Representation in our homes, that's where it starts, right? And it's up to us, right? But I have such an amazing, I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's ass here. I have such amazing group and network on YouTube and social media. And I spoke about this last night. Jabari, Patrice, Mr. O. I have very intelligent, self-determined people in my network on this tube. I try my best to keep my network that way. We're very self-determined people, right? We know who we are, right? We know it's our choice, our home. We control what the images our children see, but that doesn't mean that it's okay that our children see. You know, if I said this before, if I walk into the living room and my grandson is watching cartoon that is nothing but white images of little white boys and girls, I'm turning the TV, because I don't want him to think that is what the world looks like and that is what the world is. So I'm very conscious of it. It doesn't mean that we could throw people away who aren't as self-determined as we are, because they are being bamboozled in masses, right? So there is a problem when these images are constantly perpetuated. When I walk into a Dominican hair salon with a little girl that's 5 years old and there's nothing but Marilyn Monroe on the wall, yet she's Dominican and we're walking into a Dominican hair salon, that's a problem for me. That's an issue. So it's a constant, it's up to us, but it doesn't make it fair, is what I'm saying.
But the thing is, Jen, nothing in life is fair. Like, you're born beautiful. That's not fair to people. That's not fair to Whoopi Goldberg. I'm not trying to be funny. Who's extremely funny, extremely talented, but she's not born. And you look at Alicia Keys and India Ari. They're the same. You deal with the same type issue. So, I mean, people can make the same argument. You know, if Jen was a dark-skinned, ugly Latina, she wouldn't have this platform. It's easy to do the what ifs. It's what you do with it. And I think it comes across to me, and I'm talking to somebody who has, simple Google search, who's done community centers in my neighborhood. My business actually bankrolls a summer camp and an after school program, because God love us, Blacks, Latinos, we abdicate the instruction of our children to other people. Whereas if you look at these other groups, these other immigrant groups to this country, slavery or not, because the Chinese came here damn near enslaved. I mean, let's just put it on the line. Their women were only allowed to come over here as prostitutes, and the men were allowed to work on the railroad, period. So they came over here, not the same type of slavery, but they came in indentured damn servants. Excuse me for the profanity. They don't allow that to define them. They have their own cultural education of their kids. They don't let other people educate their kids like that, which is why they tend to be why they've been more successful. Unless we decide as a group, when we go into the Dominican shop, to say, hey, you should probably put Rita Moreno on the wall. You should probably put this person on the wall, because it's their shop. See, nobody comes in and makes you put that on the wall. Nobody comes in. And even if they do, see, my thing is, if you have Marilyn on the wall, but like Mr. O, he also has all these other cultural icons on the wall. It's not like he just has pictures of Marilyn everywhere. Really, he's got her in addition to. She is one of the cultural icons. And I think I think it's up to us to demand of our communities, especially in the businesses and in the places that we frequent, to represent us. I think expecting society to do that is a little naive. Because you can't express the oppressor. You can't expect your oppressor to willingly give up control.
I don't expect that at all. I think that's a delusion. But why he has a light over Marilyn's picture? Why he got a light over Marilyn's picture?
I got a light on Sade right there too.
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. Jabari,
Jen, you send me a picture of you and I'm gonna replace it.
There you go.
I'll put you on my wall. I'll take Marilyn down. You send me a picture of you.
Yay!
How about that? Jabari, but I like what King just said. Can you post that comment that King put up?
Where are we?
Imagery is weaponized to destroy the self-esteem of children within our Black and Latina communities.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. But, to piggyback on what you said, Jabari, I'm not expecting society in this country to do anything in our favor. Not at all. What I'm trying to do is make people aware that sometimes the people that they think innocently was shoved down their throats psychologically. That is That is what I'm doing. I'm not expecting people to look out for me if there's no interest or benefit to them. So I don't think the man.
And I agree with Jabari. Like, we should not expect, society. It is our responsibility because it will never be given to us because of the way it was taken from us. Anytime you have a race of people that did the R word, they stole, they killed, they maimed, they did any and everything to take. Listen, and this is the part of what our people need to realize, because that race of people did everything that they could to wipe away everything we ever stood for as a race of people. We were stripped of our culture, our religion, our language, our everything, our land. Like, we were stripped of all of that. So coming over here and then being conditionized to their standard of what it is to be superiority. And that's why if we don't teach these things to our children, white supremacy and white privilege in our minds as we know it will continue to be this conditioning factor, right? If we don't teach it to our children and our grandchildren and stop having this grandeur, delusions of grandeur about what it is for us as a people.
For Europeans to be able to do what they did, they had to first come together. We can only get a small group of our people to come together. There's only a small group of us that ever wanted to fight. Like, we lost. We got taken. We didn't do nothing about it. We didn't go. I don't know why we didn't go conquer our own land. Why didn't we come together? The point is, they came together, they took this place, and they set rules and standards and ideologies and mindsets, and they gave religion, and they did all these things to control how they run their land that they took. And we live in here. We live in their shit.
And yeah, off the backs of our ancestors, and we told to grin and bear it and STFU, shut the up, basically. But we have to fight. We have to continue to fight as a people. I'm a part of ADOS,
we don't come together.
I know my people are fighting to get some form of reparations for the things that were stolen from us. But we can't even get people that look like us to even be down with it, because they say, "Oh, we a victim Olympics, so we waiting on something, a handout. How in the hell are we waiting on something and a handout?" And it was really literally a debt that's owed to us that we never got. So it will always let me finish. It will always be a divide and conquer as long as people that look like you continue to fight against the things that you're fighting for people that look like you.
Yeah.
May I push back a little bit against that? I'm sorry. And this is just
wait, Jabari, I want to interrupt really quick. We have someone backstage.
Okay, sorry about that.
I believe it's Sweet Lady, and I just wanted to let her up because she's lighting up the comments, so she has some objections. I just want to bring her on the channel, and then you could continue, Jabari.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to call in because I just feel like, it's not really the white community or white supremacy or whatever the case may be that's causing the issue. I think it's within the community itself. I can't really speak on the Latino community or whatever, so I won't speak on that, but I can speak on the Black community because I'm Black. And what I see is what occurred right here today. The man up there, I think his name is Jabari, he said something to the effect of, you being a white Latina, and if you were a dark-skinned Latina, then we would have an issue. See, that's the issue within the Black community, because a lot of Black people have self-hatred. They hate themselves, and then they try to project it onto white people and say it's a white people's problem. But no, it's a Black person's problem, because there are a lot of dark-skinned Black women that are gorgeous. But if your own people can't see it in themselves, and the men up here who are Black are saying that and worshiping mixed women or women that are not Black, then that's the issue that you're going to have. And it's never going to change. It's always going to be that way, because the men are supposed to lead the community. You have the men in the community, the ones who are up here projecting white supremacy themselves. So what do you expect to change?
That's why I said the biggest fight is the ones that look like us. That's why I said what I said. That's why white supremacy is always going to exist.
Exactly.
You can never.
May I respond since I was called out?
I know, lady just dropped some bombs, so I want Jabari to respond because she's specifically talking about his comments.
Yeah.
Jabari,
Okay.
please.
First of all, I think my comments were misunderstood. I don't think. First of all, my comments were misunderstood. I made the point from a purely financial, from a purely business perspective, and I think Jen would agree. I think that if her look were different, her numbers would probably be different because that's just the way the society is. That's the
Is there
nature of
like
our
music?
society.
I can't really hear him.
I'm sorry.
There's someone's playing music in the background. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. This wasn't an attack on anyone. It was, you misinterpreted what I was saying. I said that that her looks matter. Her looks matter. Looks do matter. There's no getting around that.
No,
and in our culture, allow me to finish. In our culture, and when I say our culture, I mean as Americans and as people of color in America, colorism is real. And to deny that colorism is real because it's hurtful or because it's painful is naive, and it defeats the purpose. And you can never advance if you don't acknowledge the truth. And the truth is colorism is real. And to say that it's not just because we don't want it to be is stating the truth. Stating the obvious is not a endorsement of the obvious. It's not an endorsement. It's just a statement of fact, and that's what it was.
Okay,
and that's it. I'm sorry.
Let me just respond. I totally agree with that. I think sometimes when I speak factually, it's harsh, but there is a hierarchy in this country. I may be deemed more attractive or not than someone darker than me who's Latina, but then a white woman, a Jennifer Lopez who's white, or Cameron Diaz who's white skinned with blue eyes is going to be considered more important than me on the scale. So that
exactly
works here.
That's not what I said though. What I said was, I never said that. I never said that looks didn't matter. True. First of all, I never said that. I know that if someone's going to be on a show or something of that, if you're going to be in media, then of course looks matter. I specifically stated what he said. He said if you were a dark-skinned woman, that it wouldn't work out for you, which that's not
what I said.
You did say that. Let's rewind
the tape. Her numbers, quote.
I said
your numbers would be different. That was the exact quote.
Can I finish, sir? I'll let you finish.
Well, there are
so many beautiful dark-skinned women who you see who succeed. I'll give you a number of Kelly Rowlands, whoever. I could give you a number of women. What I'm saying is that is men like you who are black men who are supposed to be the leaders of the community who keep this going. Okay, it's like you can't acknowledge, because I'm pretty sure you're dark skinned, and you can't acknowledge the fact that dark skin is beautiful because you just automatically equate it with light skin, when we know that is not true. You can look at a dark skinned woman, you can look at a light skinned woman, you can see that a dark skinned woman could be more attractive than a lighter skinned woman, but you won't accept that because you have self-hatred. And now you're trying to change what I said. I said, I made it very clear as to what I was saying. What I said was that the men of our community is the issue. It's not white supremacy. That's the issue. I don't see Asian men saying that, oh, blonde hair, blue eyes, or this and that. They worship their own women. And that's the only issue that we have, is within the black community only.
Okay, can we
I don't want to get into a back and forth, but that's not what I said. I said her numbers, I said, quote, I said your numbers would be different. And as Jen acknowledges, they would. I mean, there's no getting around. You can't. I never said that dark skin wasn't beautiful. Let me go ahead and add that. I never said that. You're putting those words in my mouth.
Her numbers aren't that high now, sir. So what do you say? Her numbers aren't that high, sir, now. So that's what I'm saying.
Allow me to finish. Allow me to finish.
Your point is cloaked and you're trying. Okay, go ahead, sir.
You're making assumptions.
Wait. Because now this is it. I don't want this to get vitriolic.
No, it's not. It's really not. Like, it's really not. Like, there's no
my
problem.
Point, Jim, was that he was trying to make a point, but his point is nil, because it's not like you have like hundreds of thousands of people watching you. That's my point. So he cannot make some.
Okay, I'm sorry. Respectfully, I have to mute people because they're talking over me, and I don't want it to get vitriolic. Okay. As far as my numbers, I just started YouTube, sis. So relax. Check back with me in a year. I think we're getting off topic here. So let's everybody listen to each other. My numbers have nothing to do with it. I just started. Okay. So I don't know if Jabari wants to go or Lady wants to go. I am willing to listen, but let's not talk over each other. I'm going to unmute both of you, and then you can decide with Grace who speaks first. That's all I'm asking for, okay?
She can speak. I mean, she can speak.
Okay, Lady?
There was no. I think you're taking this personal, Jen, because there was no shot against you. He cannot make a point and not back it up. My point is that he cannot make that point. It doesn't reflect that. Your numbers does not reflect the point that he's making. And I'm making a valid point about that. It has no shot at you. It's just what it is. What I'm saying is that he used that to say that your numbers would not be there. It wouldn't be there because, yeah, we have, like I said, black men. When are you going to address what I said about black men in the community?
Okay, first I want to welcome King. King from Conversations
What's up?
the Building.
What's up?
Jabari, yeah. do you want to respond to Lady before King adds his opinions?
Well, I mean, what no shade. I never made a statement on dark skin or light skin or in regards to anything personal preference. The fact is the numbers are the numbers. If you look at who has the biggest draws, if you look at who gets paid the most in Hollywood, if you look at who gets cast the most, light-skinned people get cast more than dark-skinned people. Light-skinned people, if you look at purely the numbers, that is the beef of dark-skinned actresses. So to sit here and act like this is somehow not the case just because you wish it not to be the case is naive, and it avoids the problem. It avoids the problem. The numbers across the board, but that's what I said. I said her numbers. I specifically talked about her numbers, and I use her numbers. Again, this is about Jen is a person in Hollywood. She's in entertainment. Those things are a reflection of a hierarchy in terms of colorism, race, and things like that. To say that those things don't exist is naive. They do exist, and it has nothing to do with my personal preferences, which you don't know, but you're making a statement of. It has nothing to do with that. It's simply a matter of the way things are in the entertainment industry, which is the industry that she's in. And there's no getting around that.
It didn't exist. That's the thing. I never said you're missing my point. I never said it didn't exist.
Can I ask you a question? Lady, can I ask you a question? Because I'm trying to clarify for everybody. Do you think that him merely stating the obvious of mainstream media is perpetuation of the black community, that black men aren't defending dark-skinned women? Do you think it's a perpetuation if he just states the obvious of what happens in media?
It wasn't, Jen. It wasn't that he just stated the obvious, right? It was also that I was paying attention the whole time, right? Like whenever they named a person that was so-called attractive that was black, it was a mixed person,
That's right.
Who's partly white or whatever, right? But yeah, I'm pretty sure that you guys are probably all over the age of 40 or whatever, right? Because that's an old school mentality, right? Because like as I said before, there are dark-skinned women who are attractive as well, right? But you didn't name that. And I said, if the black men in our community, let's stop blaming what white men are doing or the white community are doing. They're going to take care of their women. I said, if the black men in our community don't step up and start naming their own dark-skinned sisters as attractive, then it's never going to change, okay? When you have your dark-skinned daughter, you should be thinking about that instead of still promoting it, because you could have said, I'm sure you know dark-skinned, beautiful actresses and actresses, but you don't name them, right? You particularly name mixed women or a white woman or whatever.
May I ask a question? I want to ask just one question. No, I just want to ask one question. Name one. No. This is really, it's not vitriolic at all. Okay. Name one dark skin icon from the golden age of Hollywood. I'll wait.
Listen, I wasn't around the golden age of Hollywood. I can't tell you. I can just tell you what's going on now. Okay,
but that's not what the conversation was about.
Yeah,
the conversation is what's going on in the white. The conversation. I'm sorry, Jen. Go ahead.
No, I was saying that none of us were. We're literally talking about the perpetuation of Marilyn Monroe. I wasn't around when Marilyn Monroe was alive. This entire show is specifically what you're talking about. Why does she keep being perpetuated by everyone? Okay.
But that's the
And
thing, Jen, she wasn't in the Black
there is
community.
a hierarchy. So when you say, wait a minute. So when you say that's the old school mentality, it really isn't when I can find a 16-year-old with Marilyn on his arm. That's what we're talking about here today. Exactly what you're saying. Why does this keep being perpetuated? So
But
I
that's
don't
the
think
thing, though. She wasn't. She was never an icon within the Black community. She wasn't.
That's not true. That's
It's
not true.
It's very true.
This is not true.
On the panel who was invited because he has Marilyn on his wall. There are Black makeup artists all over YouTube with Marilyn on their backdrop. So that's not true. Let's be intellectually honest.
Yeah, Jen, we have to be intellectually honest, right? Are you referring to just like makeup artists or people in the industry? Or are you referring to people as a whole, like who they like as a whole, as a community? People in the industry, right? They're not representative of the masses of Black people, and within the Black community, she was never some icon. That was it. It was always women like Halle Berry, Dorothy Dancer.
Are you in the industry? Do you do makeup? Are you a singer? Are you an actor?
I manage people.
The entertainment industry, the entertainment industry definitely recognizes Marilyn Monroe as a pop icon. No different than
industry.
Michael
Jackson. I'm referring to people outside the industry. I'm not talking about
outside of the industry.
Black people look at Marilyn as an icon and not as.
I don't know why we're acting all of a sudden like we don't know that. There are kids today running around who are not in the entertainment industry with Marilyn Monroe tattooed on their ankles and their arms.
See, my POV.
There aren't Black kids running around. That's what I'm saying. We're getting mixed up with two different cultures. There aren't Black kids running around with Marilyn Monroe tattooed on their bodies. It's not
Marilyn Monroe is
really
part of pop culture. Hip hop is part of pop culture. This is all the same. These women, like you got Black artists that do dress up like Marilyn Monroe. Didn't Megan Thee Stallion do that recently? Like they do this. We all look at her.
Recently did it in a video.
As a symbol, though, it ain't. My point of view is different. I'm not saying that she is the standard of beauty and every woman should aspire to look like her. I'm saying she's on my wall because she represents a time in history where she was influential to a lot of people, particularly in every culture, and she did a lot with that.
All I was saying was that she wasn't. It was mixed women. What I want to say is that it was mixed women that were the standard of beauty within the Black community, and that's what we know, right? That's what people put. But they never worshipped Marilyn Monroe. It was a Halle Berry, a Dorothy Dancer. That was my point. Like she really was not.
I would agree with that.
Icon within the Black community. That's my point.
I don't think that our women were trying to look like her, but I do think that every culture of women and men give Marilyn Monroe her flowers. She did that. She is emblematic. Like
maybe it's a different maybe it's a generational gap because I don't hear any men talking about Marilyn Monroe. They just don't. Like
they definitely appreciate what she did.
They don't talk about her like they would a Beyonce, because Beyonce is now.
It's today, right?
So you don't we're not hear people talking about Marilyn Monroe. There is no generational gap. Okay,
don't mix it with us saying that like we looking for Marilyn Monroe's. We're not
forever. And I'm talking about the perpetuation of that. But no, you're not going to hear them debate her in a barbershop today because Beyonce is out today and Beyonce is alive, right? So I don't want us to play dumb just to play dumb. There is no generational gap. I can look at a makeup artist page right now who is Black, and there will be Marilyn Monroe on her background. So let's not pretend that Marilyn Monroe has been obliterated. With that said, King, welcome. Thank you for being so patient.
I was patient. I get what everybody's saying. I understand everybody's viewpoint. Oh no, because I'm outside waiting to get inside a Giveon concert right now. Giveon concert in New York City. So that was the noise in the background with the streets and the taxi cabs and stuff. But I just tuned in right now because I get what everybody's saying. And I totally get what the young Black sister is saying. And but the topic today, if you want to streamline the topic, is about Marilyn Monroe being an icon of beauty, femininity, and sexuality. We can't debate that. But the young lady is right. As of now, the young kids are not really checking for her. My only pushback to Jabari, it was two pushbacks. One, what triggered the sisters on the panel was when he named a beautiful woman and he named a woman that wasn't so beautiful. The common denominator for the both of the not so beautiful women were dark skin. That was triggering to those young lady on the stage right now, because he said Whoopi Goldberg, then India Arie. If he had used a prettier present day, current, relevant superstar that was dark skinned and that was pretty, then she would have been a little bit more graceful in her response to him. So that was just a triggering thing for her. If I'm right or wrong.
You're 100% correct. Yeah, you're correct.
Thank you. I saw that too.
What happened, Jabari, as intelligent as you are, I don't know you, but I listened the whole time. You're very intelligent and knowledgeable. But one thing that's disturbing to me is that you said it's just the way it is and we have to accept it. I am so glad no one thought like you when slavery was a law.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. We have to accept it. You know,
because right.
At some point, no. You did say you said that's how society is, and that's what it is, right? With that type of mentality, and I'm not saying that's what you meant, but that's what you said. What I'm saying to you is, at some point in society, we have to have these conversations that we have in Gen Room, which are paradigm shifters, right? Maybe we're not going to change today, but we have to start shifting this paradigm. And that's what the young lady is saying. Thank God Jen had a conversation today and a topic today that could lead to a solution, because what you said is like, you know what, it is what it is. And I'm not doing nothing about it. That's what I felt, but you could correct me if I'm wrong.
I didn't want to interrupt anybody. I try not to do that. But I kind of did say what I do. I said exactly what I do. I made a point of that. Also, you guys you got triggered, but you got triggered because of the comparison. The comparison was intentional. When we talked about, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the ladies on the panel. The comparison was intentional. The comparison was to show that these women are considered a certain look. And again, nobody on this panel knows what my preference is. No one. But these women are considered less attractive because they're dark skinned. And that was the point that I was making when I was saying these things. And when you referenced, I didn't mention, when I was mentioning beauty, I didn't mention any dark skin icons. Halle Berry came around in the late 80s, and she's mixed. Any of the icons, and I actually have watched all of those old Black Hollywood movies. There weren't dark-skinned Black superstars back then. I watched those movies. They just weren't. They didn't get the roles. They just did not get the roles. So when we talk about cultural icons from that era, which is the point of my reference, I referenced the Black cultural icons of that period. And the Black cultural icons of that period were light-skinned because they didn't promote dark-skinned Black people like that. Hattie McDaniel said, when she said I could play, she said, dark-skinned Black women aren't getting those kind of roles. They asked Hattie McDaniels why she doesn't hold out for roles like Lena Horne did. They asked her this after she accepted the Academy Award. She said, I'm a dark-skinned Black woman. She said, I'm a dark-skinned overweight Black woman. She didn't use the word overweight. She said, I can play a maid for $500 a week or be a maid for $5 a week. That's our history. You can't rewrite history because it's unpleasant. The way things are in Hollywood now are the way they are. It's unpleasant. Now, to change it, which is what I was very clear about, takes a change internally inside the community. We have to educate our own kids. And I made a point to state that we have to educate our own kids. We can't wait for other people to educate our kids. I made the point to say that the icons that I grew up with weren't the American idea of beauty. They weren't the American idea of athleticism. That's not how we grew up in our family. That's not how we grew up in our household. But we can't get triggered every time we get confronted with our history or the reality. To change the reality, you have to understand what the reality is. And I'll step back from that.
I stand corrected, because I do remember you saying that change within the household, right? But
I mean, I'm just glad that he was able to see. King was able to see what I was talking about. That's all I was saying. Like, I know I wasn't crazy. I know my perception is pretty on point. And I know
Yeah,
I
but don't
was.
beat me up. Don't beat me up. Don't beat me up, sister, because I do date mixed women and
No,
all
I
types
don't.
of
That's the
women.
thing.
Don't
It
beat me
doesn't
up.
matter to me that if someone dates
Yeah.
someone, that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the self hatred that goes on within the Black community, right?
Right,
You
right,
can't
right.
recognize it. That's
Right.
all. It's not
Let
that
me
I don't care like who people date. You know what I mean?
let me respond. I think that we all have valid points and opinions. Your feelings are valid. I understand where ladies coming from. Some of these conversations are triggering. I want to thank everyone again for staying respectful. No one on this panel says or thinks that dark-skinned women aren't attractive. I can find 10 dark-skinned women that have features that I think are more attractive than mine. So that's not an issue here. I just think sometimes when we're stating the obvious, people take it as a jab or a shot, and it really isn't. I mentioned Whoopi Goldberg earlier too, but factually, in this system, I don't live in Puerto Rico and I don't live in Africa. I live in the United States of America. And if a girl that looks like Whoopi and I start a YouTube page today, I'm going to get the higher subscriber count. That's how it is here. The reason why I'm anti the worship and icon status of Marilyn Monroe is because what we're talking about right here. But I don't want people to think automatically when we're having these conversations that one of us has self-hate, one of us doesn't care about dark-skinned people, because that's not the case. We're just all bringing to the table our experiences and what we think. And like King said, this is why I want to have this conversation, because whether or not lady thinks there's a generational gap, there are teenagers running around right now with Marilyn Monroe tattoos who are not Caucasian. And I take issue with that. But yes, there's a pecking order. Yes, there's a hierarchy. Yes, the other women we brought up, like Dorothy Dandridge and Rita Moreno, these are all mixed women. But these are the subjects that we have to deal with right now regarding Hollywood and who's still being worshipped 5 decades later. These are the women that we have. We have the Dorothy Dandridge, the Ruby Dees, the Rita Morenos. This is what we have. So I don't want to dismiss it as a generational gap when teenagers have Marilyn Monroe hanging on their wall, when men still have Marilyn Monroe hanging on their wall. Mr. O's defense, he has other women hanging on his wall. So I want to be able to have these conversations without it being triggering, and just bear in mind that we're not enemies here. We're just trying to get through, right, these conversations with our experiences. That's what I wanted to say. So if somebody wants to,
You know what's
Can I
funny? You know
say
what's funny?
something? Can I say something? Can I say something?
Okay.
And I think this is a legitimate thing, right? I think it's okay to be triggered. I think it's okay to have a legitimate emotion of something. You call it trigger, call it passion, call it whatever. We all have it. All it takes is somebody to push it. Period. And as a dark-skinned woman who is in the entertainment industry and have been in it for over 20 years, he is 100% right. I absolutely see the difference. I've talked about it on other platforms, how I auditioned for roles that I didn't get because I knew that, the lighter skinned African American woman the Black woman was lighter than me was going to get the role or the part in that stage play or in that whatever it was that I was going for. So absolutely. Is it triggering for me? Is it passion for me when I see that people from my own community do it? You goddamn right it is. And it's a legitimate emotion to have. So we should not water it down or say don't take a person's feeling away. The way someone has made you feel is a legitimate feeling. And to be able to be on platforms and say, hey, Black men, and Black women, we gotta stop this colorism within our own communities, because it hurt us when you say it, because we all probably have been hurt by some form or fashion of being a Black person in America, period. At some point, we all have been hurt, have been made to feel a way about something, whether you're dark, whether you're mixed, if you're biracial, you get it from both sides. If no matter what, we've all got it. So it's a legitimate feeling. Let's just acknowledge the feeling and be okay and speak our piece and be okay with that.
Was your name Patrice?
It's important. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's important. I don't mind a person getting upset by what I said, but the attacks became immediately personal. And I didn't say anything that wasn't that you can't, as anybody who's been in the industry, all the industry people on the panel confirm is true. And because I said something that was true, the response wasn't anger at the situation. It wasn't an anger at the situation. It was an anger at me for having the audacity to point out the truth. And I think that's when I say we have to get to the point where we can reach solutions. We have to get to the point where we can acknowledge the problem so that we can reach solutions. If we can't have the conversation without conversations becoming personal, without personal attacks coming in, people aren't going to have that conversation.
I think
I didn't get an attack. I got passion. I didn't get the attack. Like
She attacked me directly. And she said, black men like you with self-hate. She used those exact words. That's an attack. I don't know. You feel like that's an attack.
you the one that made the statement. So
But
I
the
mean,
statement,
I'm not getting.
again. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You guys go ahead.
Jabari, wait a minute, King. Jabari made the statement, but it wasn't a personal attack to anyone on the panel.
Right. So Jabari, you did make the statement, but you didn't personally attack anybody. But because she felt that way, she felt a certain way, and she pointed at you as a black man in the community. I feel that you should be like, you know what? I understand where she's coming from. So let me just take it for a little bit, but then bring it back to respect like you did right now. Because you said let's deal with the truth and not deal with the emotions behind it. So I appreciate that. What we need to start doing,
I just want to say, can I say something?
Let me finish one thing. What we need to start doing before anything, we need to applaud people like Jen, because people like Jen who benefit from this ideology is speaking against it. That speaks volumes. When you benefit from something, but you know it's wrong and you speak against it, that's more powerful than you realize.
This is what I want to say. I definitely understand, Patrice. I want to be clear because this was definitely not our intent. When me and Jen spoke about this topic, it was very playful, and we were going to have like a non-competitive back and forth. However, I think it's very important that when when people live a certain lifestyle, we see her and we appreciate pop, meaning popular, what's popular about what she's done, not just her beauty, but the definition of femininity, the way she carries herself too. And so I think, guys, we got to be conscious on like how what we say and how it affects the women, what they hear. We say one thing, but I think they hearing something different. And I definitely want to be mindful of that and take responsibility for how what we're saying, projecting is making you feel, because it's definitely not the intent. We can appreciate something that's popular in culture, not just for beauty, but the example of femininity, but not let it be our standard of what we want to push to what we should aspire to have, or what women should be. I don't want those to be confused. And I think that's what y'all are hearing, but that's not what we're saying. And I want to own that. I own that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate what you're saying to me, and I didn't really like get offended or anything. I just wanted to have an understanding, right? Like that's the best thing to do. I know that Marilyn Monroe in her own right is an icon, but she is also worship and a standard of the highest of what beauty is in white culture that is perpetuated down to even our culture. And I think a lot of times we can get lost in translation with that as a people if we don't uplift our own Black beauties and cultures and Black and brown beauties and cultures. I think because that is a lost art for our people, teaching it in the homes, because they won't even put it in the schools. That's why we don't know a lot about our Black history now, is because they won't teach it in our schools. But we were conditioned to believe all of the white history that is taught for Christopher Columbus on, and it goes on and on. So my thing is, I want us people to uplift that more and not get the pushback and fight against our own people for those things. That's my only point.
Can I ask you guys a question? What do you think? Okay, so you're saying that that's within the industry, right? So what do you think as Black people in the entertainment industry? like, what do you think Black people in the industry need to do to stop this? Because I feel like a lot of times it's like, well, that's what's going on, so we have to accept it. We're just gonna keep taking this job, or if I'm mixed, I'm just gonna benefit from it, or or what can Black people do to come together to stop this? To make a change. And I think that it starts within our own community. Having our own things where we're promoting our own beauties of all shades and colors, and then they have to accept it. But if we, just talk their same talk sometimes, and then I think that we won't progress, and we'll just keep going backwards. But I do see progress being made, to some extent, though. I will say that. So.
Yeah, it is. And we have people like Viola Davis, who is a dark skinned, beautiful chocolate queen in Hollywood, that is speaking on these very things, because she was denied so many roles. And now she's in a position of some power to be able to say, hey, if you all are saying that I am the Black Meryl Streep, then you need to pay me what Meryl Streep is making. So when she makes statements like on big platforms at the awards shows in front of all of these people that are owners and investors in the Grammys, American Music Awards, the Emmy Awards, the SAG Awards, the Golden Globes, all of that, we know they control all of that. But when you can stand on their platform and say those type of things, that is a start. And people like us need to get behind the Viola Davises in those fights. When
Right.
she say things like that, when she tweets things like that. I follow her, and I've been in the entertainment for over 20 years, and worked for many and many of people in the industry. So I know that it happens. And it's still happening. And yes, it's one step, but let's not go that one step and then we ourselves push each other back two steps. So when you hear the Viola Davises of the world speak these things, you got to start tweeting things too. You got to start saying things on platforms when you have the opportunity to, just like she is. She can't be in the fight by herself. And it damn sure can't be people that look like her that want to fight against the rubber. Just like, listen, I'm on a picture with Monique. That's me on that picture on my avatar with Monique. When Monique stood up and tried to fight for what was unfair for her, who shut her down? People that look like her. That's why I'm saying, if we can, we have to stop that, because like she said, I'm trying to make it better for the girl that has to come behind me. But that won't happen if people that look like us keep fighting against us.
I want to invite chaotic. I want to invite chaotic truth to the panel. What's up, Mr. Chaos?
What's up?
I don't know how long. I don't know how long you've been listening, but
like a few minutes, and I already want to cause some chaos. But before I cause some chaos, Jen, and thank you by the way for allowing me up. I want to say salute to the panel. But my guy up here with the green on, I don't know who you are, sir, but you are a fan of me automatically. You have my childhood crush right behind you, Sade.
Sade, this is what I'm saying.
I've loved Sade since I've been a little boy. Oh,
man, changed my life.
Oh,
I went to. Have you ever seen her live, man?
I saw her live in Cleveland, Ohio, in the year 2000.
Like epic.
Yeah,
it's like church.
Yeah.
I
want to broach what the young lady was just saying about Viola Davis, and I don't know what you guys were talking about previously, but I do have to say this. Viola Davis has no place to ask for more money in Hollywood. Now, hear me out. Now, so many women before her that are Black have made major Skrilla in Hollywood. One being Whoopi Goldberg. Now, let's be honest, she ain't attractive. I'm not saying she's ugly, but she's not attractive. Whoopi Goldberg has been making major Skrilla since the 80s. Now, is she worth $500 million? I don't think so. Is she worth $100 million? I don't think so. But I know she's worth a little over 50. So you have women like that have been making major money. Oprah Winfrey, maybe not the best actress, but certainly a woman who has dominated in the field of entertainment. Now, we already know that, being older. Now, here goes my quorum with this whole Viola Davis statement. Now, I'm not trying to knock what she's saying, because I actually agree with you too. there are so many black countries on this planet. There are so many black entertainment industries on this planet. You have Nollywood, you have Gollywood, which is Ghana.
Hollywood.
You have South Africa that makes some of the best movies. I ain't gonna lie to you. There are times when I watch South African movies, I'm thinking I'm watching African Americans because they copy us to the core. So what I'm saying is that why don't these black people go to these African countries and act over there or start their own damn stuff in these countries? You have all these black islands. You have blacks in South America, Brazil, Guyana, and you have blacks in Africa. Why do we have to beg Whitey? Sorry, Jen, if you don't, do you allow people to say stuff like that over here, Jen?
I say Whitey all the time.
Okay, I love saying Whitey. Why do we have to always beg Whitey? Please, Whitey, please pay me more. Why can't Viola take her talents elsewhere?
Well, if I can respond to that, that's why we have people like Tyler Perry, who is building his own studio here in America for that very purpose. So more people that look like us can get the jobs. So it's a start. It's a start.
Look,
May I make a
Tyler
point?
Perry thought she would work that, he'll pay her that. I never understand why we make demands when we in somebody else shit. This is not our country. This is not our Hollywood. This is not our YouTube. We worth what they gonna give us in they shit. Like he was saying, let's go start our own shit. And then we could be worth that. But this is not ours. She worth what they gonna give her in their Hollywood. Now to us, she worth a lot more.
I didn't want to interrupt. I don't want to interrupt.
For us, we gonna find a lot more worth in her. We do. We appreciate her more. We do. We feel her. But it's in their world. And that's based on what's popular. It ain't about like what we like the most. What's popular in totality. That's where pop culture comes from. What's popular. And that's why we talking about Marilyn, because what's in popular culture, she set a standard of beauty and femininity.
Oh,
that's where this started from.
I believe we have just as much right as our white counterparts to fight for what we want right here in America, because it was built off our ancestors. We didn't ask to come over here. We was brought over here. So hell yeah, we have every right to build, to take, to ask for whatever it is we want. So why should we have to go somewhere else?
So chaotic truth, just let me bring you up to speed. The topic was why it's time we let go of Marilyn for good. Marilyn meaning Marilyn Monroe, the perpetuation, the icon status, and the worship that we have decade after decade after decade over this blonde bombshell in America. So that's how we began.
May I jump in for a second?
Yes.
We often talk about the need to build. Oscar Machado, I think that's how you pronounce it. I've never heard it said out loud. Oscar Machado had a black Hollywood in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. When we talk about building our own, there are things that were built. We have to support what we build. How about we start with that? How about we put out a quality product? How about instead of, I appreciate what Patrice says, and what I appreciate the middle of what you both say, because I have a business because I'm not going to earn my worth working for someone else. And I just had a negotiation with somebody who wanted to hire me, and I said, you can contract me. You can contract my company. That's how we have to operate. We have to appreciate our own worth. We have to build our own. The reason why there is a united artist today, let me give everybody a little bit of Hollywood history. The reason why there is a united artist today is because the actors and one director, it was D.W. Griffin, horrible freaking human being, did Birth of a Nation, Charlie Chaplin, and I want to say it was Mae West, the white actress, who got together and they invested their money to create their own studio because they weren't getting paid enough by the studios. The studios didn't want to pay them, so they took their money and built their own. There is enough money in our community, in the entertainment industry, where we own sports teams. We're minority owners, but we own sports teams. We own movie theaters. We don't own any distribution companies. Now, you know, you want to talk about money. We don't own distribution companies, but there is a way to do these things. It starts with, I forget the young lady's name. She asked, how do we do it? It starts with educating our own kids. It starts with telling our kids our real history and not relying on other people to tell the kids our history. If you have a child that wants to be a director or that wants to have their own studio, when Tyler Perry opened his studio, he referenced Oscar Micheaux. He understood that there was someone that did this before. He can do it again and build off of that. If you think that if all you're taught is that people have been kicking you and your people have never done anything, man, we built some of the greatest businesses in this country when racism was racism, when they could come in and burn your stuff down and you couldn't do nothing but rebuild. So we can do it today. We just can't wait. We can't wait. We have to educate our own kids. We have to invest in our own businesses. If we see people with a good idea, and you have money to invest, instead of taking your money and putting it in Coca-Cola, that's only going to make you a 3% return on investment, invest it in that young Black person who's coming up. I mean, if you really want to talk about how we can do it, instead of just talking about the problems, it's how you get to the solutions. The first thing you got to do is recognize the problem. You can't run from it. You can't be embarrassed by it. You have to understand your history, and then you have to make sure that the people that come behind you know that you're not the first, they're not the first, and that we've been overcoming in this country since before there was this country.
Right. Chaotic, your mic is low, so.
Oh, I wasn't even saying anything, but I do want to say something. This dude.
Your mic is low. You need to turn it up.
Oh, what? Okay.
Get closer.
What about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. This man right here was speaking something that is absolutely prophetic. We got to give this man of applause. One thing I want to talk about is what he said, particularly about putting out better product. Black people give me so much flack when I say we don't like science fiction. We don't like certain things. But then how come we don't make these types of movies? We could have made Black Panther. Why did the white man have to make it if we love science fiction so much? But again, even when we put out product, it is bad. I gotta agree with him on that, because we don't dibble and dabble in terms of anything outside of this. You know, we always make these drama movies or romance movies. Why not make other types of movies as well? Yeah. So putting out better product or different product. There's a market for science fiction. There's a market for different types of film product. So my thing is that Viola Davis has a market with Black people. She just hasn't tapped into it. She wants to rely on the white man. That's the problem. And no, I think that regardless if our ancestors did whatever in this country, the fact of the matter is Hollywood is still the white man's. So no. If the white man want to pay her $10 a movie, the white man has all right to, because it's his shit.
We're changing the whole topic.
What'd you say?
You did.
I don't think that's a huge drift from the topic, though, because we're saying, why is Marilyn Monroe still an icon? Why is she still in the community? And I think it's because we haven't replaced her. I mean, just to be perfectly honest, it's because we haven't replaced her. And we haven't replaced her because we don't know our own history. A lot of us, our history begins in our lifetime or in our parents' lifetime. We don't know that there were champions that looked like us 100 years ago in this country. They don't know that the things that we accomplished, and we can't expect other people to teach us that, because it's not in their best interest to teach us that. But at the same time, we can't get offended hearing the harsh reality. And our reality is harsh in this country. It is harsh. The only way it's going to get any better is if we make it better. Start your own stuff and when you start your own stuff, put out something better than what anybody else is doing. Be creative.
Well, it starts with the Tyler Perry's, with the studio, right? I mean, it starts with that. It starts with the Black people that just bought a bunch of land in Atlanta to build a Black metropolis somewhere on the outskirts of Atlanta to start all Black businesses. So it's happening, it's happening. But yeah, we absolutely need more of it. And we do have to realize, though, and this is, I want to say this, because as someone that's starting a small Black business, my business is more behind the scenes. I'll be starting an online business. And at the end of the day, I don't care who buy from me. Matter of fact, I want whites to buy from me. I want Asians to buy from me. I want Hispanics, because they have been getting wealthy off us forever. At the end of the day, the money is green. So I don't care who buys. I'm not going to be just that Black owned business that only serve my people, because they have been biting off of us and becoming wealthy off us for decades. So when I have my online business, they don't have to see my face. They all can spend money with me. See, that's how you get wealth and generational wealth to be able to pass down. Because if we rely just only on Black people, it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. Because Black people don't want that other Black person's business next door to make $1 more than them, or else they hating. So when I start my online business, it's whoever spend money, it's all green to me at the end of the day.
I got some money for you, Patrice.
Jen, can I? You know what, Jen? Okay,
let me know.
So Jen, I want to address the title itself about Marilyn Monroe.
Okay, you're low again.
What the hell is going on? Okay, what about now?
It's better.
Okay, I did want to address that about Marilyn Monroe. What is so wrong with society embracing that image as the standard of beauty, as the benchmark? By the way,
say it again.
What is so wrong with society embracing that as the standard of beauty in the Western Hemisphere?
And femininity, include femininity. Yeah, it gotta be.
Stop with the femininity. Act like no other woman had a vagina until Marilyn Monroe was born. Can we stop?
Grace and class. Grace and class.
Josephine Baker had grace and class and femininity and was sexy.
But Jen,
okay.
I guess
one of the popular.
Let me answer. I'll answer you. The problem with that for us, for people of color, that is another form of freaking oppression and suppression. That is my issue. It diminishes who we are, how we look, our femininity. If she's the standard, then what are we, right? So that's my issue. Representation. I'm sick of seeing it, but I'm speaking about us. But what men do is automatically pit women against women and say, oh, you're just jealous, because I'm not jealous. There is nothing on Marilyn Monroe that I would want to look like or be. I'm talking about our people and representation. That is what I'm talking about. And it's bad for us. Just like any other world we could be on, where you're a Black man in America, if you're constantly seeing white people shoved down your throat as the epitome and the standard of everything, that is bad for you. You do know that psychologically it's bad for you. So that's the problem with it. They can see her as the biggest. Someone said slut, hoe. Someone said activist. Someone said she has so many labels. But it's what she represents to us. She is still on walls. She is still on T-shirts. She is still on mugs, right? So that's my issue with it. Not that she shouldn't be considered beautiful. Not that she shouldn't be considered feminine, but that she shouldn't be worshipped for it. And I believe she's worshipped for it because she's white. So that's my issue.
My position on that, Jen, just hasn't changed. I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's not 1956. It's not 1961. We have the opportunity to, we've had way more examples. Like I was mentioning to the young lady earlier, we didn't even have dark-skinned actresses that could play anything other than a maid or a prostitute until the 1970s.
Correct.
Until the 1970s. So we have other icons, and we can choose, we can make a conscious choice to what we allow, because despite what TV and the internet tries to tell us, we have more influence over ourselves than any external force. In the end, you make a decision. And when you're young, your parents help shape that decision-making process. And if your parents are crappy, you have their organizations. Like I said earlier, my business, we bankroll an after-school program because we teach self-love, because that's important. Because we always joke, I have a marketing business, which means I need other people to own businesses for my business to do well. So we're training young people to be entrepreneurs so that my business can have long-term sustainability. And you can say it's a selfish approach, but that's how you build up the entire community. You have to have the mindset that we're going to own, not be owned. And if you don't own, you are owned. Make no mistake. You either own or you are owned.
Okay,
because
so
somebody can fire you and you'll see the situation.
Back really quickly because I'm almost out of time, and I don't want to be redundant because I'm almost out of time. So I'd like to get everybody's last point. Jabari, again, I agree with you 100%. It starts at we control the images that are most important to our children and our grandchildren. We do. I agree with you 110%. I'm talking about the perpetuation of it. It's still out there. Yes, we have Halle Berry now. Yes, we have, you know, the actresses that are coming from London that are very dark skinned and are amazing. Sorry, I don't have a name off the top of my head right now. Yes, we have that. But these women, Halle Berry is not on t-shirts and on mugs and on posters and at the salons. You know what I mean? Not for the majority, the most part. Everybody, the default is Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe, Marilyn Monroe. And I'm trying to convey that it's because she's white and blonde and blue-eyed, and that is the standard in America. Now, Mr. O will say, don't complain. We're in America. I'm saying, okay, let's not complain. Let's change it. Let's stop being the perpetuation of it. That is what I'm saying. Not that Marilyn can't be a beautiful woman somewhere. I'm saying we have to watch what it is we claim we like. Because if you ask somebody, oh, why do you like Marilyn? I don't know. My dad had her on the wall, so I gotta know. What's that Marilyn Monroe tattoo about? I don't know. She dope. Why is she dope? So sometimes we follow things and fall into things, and we don't even know that we've been bamboozled. And it's in our subconscious. So that's what I'm really trying to get at. But like you, self-determined all the way. I control images in my home, et cetera, et cetera. We all do, but it's still out there. And I just want to make it known. It's still out there. It's still out there. Luckily, Mr. O has Marilyn on his wall, but he also has Sade, which I didn't see last time. So that's what I'm talking about. So guys, I am immensely proud of this panel and grateful. Lady, thank you. It's the first time you're on the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Absolutely. I hope to see you again. I love your points.
Definitely.
Patrice, thank you. Jabari, thank you. Mr. O, thank you. Chaotic, you brought a little bit of chaos. Thank you. So I just want to go around the room and get just last thoughts of what you think of this conversation and what you'd like to leave people with until we see you next time. Mr. O, I'll start with you since you so graciously dared to come on and let me challenge you.
Right. So I think I won because I made the more valid, relevant points, and I came with way more substance than just pictures. She had a whole PowerPoint. I think I had more facts. I think that in the essence of popular culture, it's undeniable. Like King said, it's irrefutable. So I think I won. I want to keep this light, man. We had fun. This went in a direction that we couldn't even anticipate it. We didn't even think it was gonna go this way. Like she even made the thumbnail. She was like, "Is this cool?" It was trying to be playful, but it went to a way that was personal, and I definitely like am now more conscious of like how we present ourselves and what we glorify in a sense, and how it makes the women that are important to us, how it makes y'all feel. Because we say some things and do things, but y'all hear something totally different when we say certain things sometimes. It's not what's coming out of our mouth. It's like what you hear. And we need to be more conscious of how we present things to be acceptable. So I don't want to be disliked for having Marilyn on the wall, man. I just, to me, I appreciate her position in popular culture, but I don't glorify her as the standard of what women should be as beauty.
Thank you. Thank you. Jabari?
No, I'll keep it short and simple. Charity begins at home. If you want to change something, start in your own house and expand to your own community. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, chaotic.
Even though I came in late and hopefully I at least was stuck to the topic. I want to say first and foremost that the standard of beauty, and I've always said this, is Sudanese women. I've always admired women from Sudan. They are some of the most beautiful models on the planet. And fuck Marilyn Monroe. That's the standard. say you guys.
Yay. Okay. What was that last thing you said? Fuck who?
Marilyn Monroe.
All right. So now
Yeah.
I'm
When I
moving
said
forward.
salute to you guys.
I left the best for last. My diamonds, the ladies. Patrice, and then lady, last thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for having me, Jen. It was a good conversation, and yeah. I mean, I think I agree with what everyone said. You start within your own home, and then work within a community, and I think you have to also um just be passionate about it, because that's the only way we're going to get it to change. And I also think that many people that are in the industries who are actresses, and they need to, like, say, hey, I'm not taking this job anymore, and something has to change. That's the only way things are going to change. You have to start, like, say, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, and then they'll be forced to change. But that's all.
Agree. Thank you again. OG Patrice, take us out.
Yeah, shout out to you, Jen, for allowing me on the panel. Shout out to everybody on the panel. I got good perspective from everybody, and I appreciate what you said. And as well as chaotic. My thing as someone who is older, I want you guys to realize that there really are Black people that are icons in this industry. They just didn't get the props for it. So the thing is, we need to uplift and recognize that within our own race of people, because what's perpetuated to us has become a condition to us, and we do it consciously and subconsciously sometimes. So just be aware of that. Teach your children and your children's children. There are Black men and women that not only in the entertainment industry that absolutely outshines the Marilyn Monroes with beauty, and not only that, accomplishments as well. Filmmakers, directors. I mean, just recently, I've been working with Frank Gooden. He's an Emmy award winning filmmaker, and that's because a lot of people don't know about that young Black man, but he's doing big things. So when we have avenues for our people, we have to be in the room, and that's why I'm saying we have to support each other. So when you hear the Viola Davises shouting out on Twitter and on things, like when you hear these people say Octavia Spencer, who got paid less money, and it took LeBron James to step up when Netflix was shorting her money, the same way they did Monique. If we don't start standing behind our people that are screaming out, that's trying to pave the way, we got to be in the room, guys. We got to get behind our people. That's all I want to see.
Thank you so much. And I love ending on that. We have to be in the room. That's how change happens. We have to be in the room. I don't know, you guys don't know, but I am a writer, and I'm working on an all Afro Latino cast. So wish me luck. Yeah, apologies for everyone I couldn't let up. There were a lot of people backstage, but I am under time constraints today because I have a full schedule. Again, much love to you all. Please, please, please come back, have these discussions at home. You know how we do. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next On the Block with Jen. I shall bid you adieu. Good night, guys.
Y'all go subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel.
Okay.
Subscribe.
Mr. O is just living.
Okay.
Mr. O is just living.
I'll put all the details on the bottom of everybody's page, because everybody up here does deserve to be subscribed to. Good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.